The owner explained he had been stealing medical supplies from warehouses abandoned after the Great Eruption and had been selling them on the black market for months, just like you said. The reason he was after medical supplies was, other than his own experience, medicine is as good as cash following the Great Eruption. Some people can find a way to turn any hardship into a business opportunity. Predation, taking in nutrients, this is the nature of animals. That's what my teacher told me. But my teacher also said, we're not animals, we're people, so we have human nature, not animal nature. Sounds like someone's good at teaching children, but it reminds me. Anyway, with his testimony, it should be easy to follow the stolen goods. The police can pick up the trail and continue the investigation. The incognito still has the supplies that were stolen during the previous raid, like sheep in a tiger's mouth. Stolen goods. It still doesn't seem to fit together. The information is vaguely related, but I can't draw any conclusion yet. What do you do in the situation? Everyone says try to find something you're missing or change your perception. And then she recalled someone that shared her name but a different perspective. Since she had arrived at Nagazora, she made no attempt to call her out, and it seems there was a tacit understanding that there was no need for her to make an appearance. Perhaps this made her a bit lonely, but it's clear this wasn't the time to think about that. No, I've got this. I can do it by myself, whether it's fighting or strategizing. I can come up with an answer on my own. Sora-chan, Susanna, I've been thinking, we're actually not far off from knowing the truth about Incognito. Really? That's right, Susanna. Do you remember where it was the first time Incognito had appeared in Nagazora? If I recall, they went after a chemical manufacturing plant in Nagazora. Right, in fact, afterwards, their targets seemed to share something in common. And that is... all of their targets are related to medical technology. The chemical plant is part of a pharmaceutical company. The warehouse was storing stolen medical goods. That drunk resident we met said his pharmacy was also raided. As for the safe house, I don't believe the target was the database, but the samples and tools. Is that right? I thought they destroyed the database to conceal their identity. It's not like we had a sample of their hair or fingerprints, so there wasn't a need to attack the database, and I have a suspicion they don't know where our safe house was. So Incognito and the warehouse owner share the same goal? To sell medical supplies on the black market. I don't think it's so simple. It looks like they have some kind of connection to World Serpent. Even now, with World Serpent gone, they still have such a large amount of mechas. It seems like, as far as money goes, Incognito is flush with cash. And shouldn't the police have recovered some stolen goods by now? Even in the black market, those supplies should be leaving some sort of trail. Miss Sila, you're saying that the goods were left behind by Incognito themselves. But what would they be doing with all those medical equipment? You don't think they're all sick, do you? No, I doubt all the members of Incognito are sick. Because incognito is none other than... It doesn't look like zombies are able to coordinate such a thought-out plan, but they do have something in common with incognito, which leads me to believe that even though they have world serpent mechas, but that alone doesn't explain it. World serpent are believers and thinkers, but incognito doesn't match their MO. That's because incognito is really... I noticed some discrepancies during my investigation earlier. No one has ever seen incognito's face, and they never leave behind hair, body fluids, or fingerprints. But they aren't very discreet when they're on the move. Maybe they got caught by some kid on the street, or have to engage in a fight when we first got here. Something about it seems off, like they were able to put together a well-thought-out plan, but failed to follow through on every detail. It's like incognito has the sharp mind but a weak body. It's like a puppet being guided by a string. It's almost as if incognito's face has never been seen and no biological trace has been left behind, isn't because they're so discreet, but because it'd be impossible to see their face or for them to leave evidence behind. You don't mean? Right. And the mechanical limb we found is another piece of evidence. I don't think that arm was the only mechanical part of its owner's body. Incognito is just a group of low-grade android. Even if you see under their cloaks, there's nothing to see. Adults don't believe and think they must have just missed their face, whereas children see it exactly as they saw it, but no one believes them. They even go as far as to wear cloaks to conceal their identity. But people put people clothes on a fake person and people will treat them like humans too. So incognito is a group of androids that steals medical supplies. That's so strange. What would they need with those supplies? Do androids need that stuff too? Right. Even though she had finally detected their culprit's identity, she couldn't pin down a motive. Inanimate humanoid monsters come out at night to steal life-giving supplies. It was a horrific thought, if not an absurd one as well. But she knew better from experience. Underneath the absurdity, there was always a reason that would make sense. I don't know their motives yet, but at least now that we know what they are, we can predict their next move. No, not predict. What we need to do next is control their next action. The block we went to that night. In the daytime, it's silent, and it remains silent through the night. There is no life at night born from the death of day. There is no ritual that can restore life to this place. This was going through the cloaked figure's mind, who then felt annoyed at such useless thoughts. Remnants of thought weren't helpful to the plan at this point. In fact, the purpose of the plan was to eliminate such trivialities. An experiment. inorganic life forms began to surround the warehouse. Just a few hours ago, they had intercepted a report from Nagazora's interim security office. Incognito's leader felt ridiculous relying on such primitive tech. The report claimed a black market medical supply dealer had just escaped from prison due to a surprise attack from Incognito. In a cowardly, greedy man's hands were a wealth of information collected over time. But in the chaos of the night, that man broke free. Thinking about it again, he became annoyed once more. It would be wrong to blame it on his man, but he couldn't help thinking like that. At any rate, victory must be close at hand. The day when Incognito achieved his goal is nigh. When a criminal escapes from prison, there's only one place he can go and hide, and that's his old hideout. Tonight's the night. He wasn't able to pass up the opportunity, like a mouse falling for a piece of bait. And he was certainly prepared. Even if he's hooked, he'd be able to get away in one piece. Get away in one piece. He swayed gently, as though recalling a dry punchline. Of course, Incognito's mechas. Looks like our fake bulletin really worked. Miss Sila, I brought everyone to the perimeter like you said. The entire block has been vacated. Still, it'd be nice if we keep damage to a minimum. Don't worry, I'll be careful. Thank you, Sora-chan. Let's do this, Susanna. The mechas are in range. Now it's our turn. Roger. Just as Sila said, there's no one piloting these mechas. They're just functioning according to program. But no trace of any android yet. Ah, over there, by the warehouse. We got him now, Sila. As the encirclement began to shrink, the mechas began to retreat until they had completely fallen back. Finally, at the center of the encirclement was a familiar warehouse with an equally familiar truck parked in front. This is Incognito's transport, right? Sila remembered what the child had told her and looked to the rear-view mirror. As expected. Just as she said, the mirror was busted. The police had mentioned the truck with the scattered mirror during the safe house attack earlier that day. Time to avenge the safe house. As the truck had been empty for a while now, everyone's eyes turned instead to the warehouse. Can you see who's inside? The place is surrounded. I would like to do this without anyone getting hurt. Please come out and surrender. What you've done is wrong, and you need to make things right. You're going pretty easy on me, miss. This voice, I'm sorry, but I cannot obey you. I don't fear physical damage, and it is not in my nature to give in to this. In fact, no one can restrain me. I am just one step away from freedom. What are we gonna do, Sila? She bit her lip as she made up her mind. Let's go into that warehouse. The door flung outward, a light of dust dimly illuminating the warehouse. Boxes are scattered everywhere, daily household items thrown around. It looks just like it did this morning, just pieces of machinery on the ground left by Incognito when they broke in and fled. And the one thing that should have been there was missing. Incognito's leader is gone. But he was just talking to us. They looked at the empty space, despondent. His final words echoed in their minds, but he was nowhere to be found. How can it be? This morning we confirmed there was no other way in and out of the warehouse. How did he escape? She held her head as she tried to get her thoughts in order. More than his disappearance, what she couldn't get in her mind around was that voice. She had without a doubt heard that voice before, up close and face to face not too long ago, about 380,000 kilometers from where she now was. Gray Serpent? But why? Is it really them in Nagazora? Is someone else operating the World Serpent? Or... Are you alright, Sila? I'm fine. Since he escaped, there's nothing we can do now. Things are looking more complicated than I first assumed. We'll have to report this to Shixao HQ. Right. Now that we collected plenty of information, we have a lot for the professors to analyze. Oh, and Susanna, contact Sora and let her know we'll need a place to stay tonight. Right, it's a bit drafty here in the warehouse now. Sora-chan, if you don't mind. I know just the place, and it's not too far from here. You two are sure to be welcomed. Sora-chan? Ah, I forgot to hang up the phone, didn't I? Yep, I heard everything you said. I have a bit more experience with Gray Serpent, I think. That voice is really familiar, but something about it is different. Alright then, let's go ahead and rendezvous. I'm excited to take you to this place. The recent built Ciara's home for the Far East branch. There was a crisp breeze, and the moon was as clear as day. The kind of night that soothes the soul after a long, hard day. While the real mastermind might be long gone, they can count on each other to put together a full picture of what had happened. And perhaps by tomorrow, it would all be finished. That was what Susanna thought as she gave a big, lazy stretch. Ciara's home. If I remember correctly, that's a foster home under Ciara Foundation. I was reading this really popular thread in Shixao forum about how Ciara was a legendary assassin. She was ruthless, kept a low profile, and was well connected throughout the Northern Hemisphere. He was even respected by local rulers, earning him the name One-Eyed Lord. She had penetrated countless evils in his life, but before his death, he spent his entire life saving on a childhood dream. I can't believe Sora-chan came out of there. She put her hand over her head and looked troubled. I don't understand, Miss Susanna. Are you saying someone else has made several Ciara homes?
难道世界上还有另一个人也造了许多所希奥拉之家吗？
Huh? We'll be going to the first Ciara home that Sensei built. My sensei didn't have as strange a title as the One-Eyed Lord. She was just called Raven.
只是叫渡鸦而已。
You know, if it weren't for my sensei, I wouldn't have met Miss Sila. After listening to the two stories, Sila quickly understood. Though she never met her, she had gotten to know her indirectly through other people. A powerful mercenary that was imprisoned after the Great Eruption and only received a release on bail recently, but she was also a gentle teacher that brought in and took care of orphans. The best way to sum her up was as a contradiction. As for why the threat posts were so different from reality, that's mostly due to other member of World Serpent she met on the moon, Great Serpent. She really is an amazing teacher. Without her, I would have never been on that amazing adventure where I met Sora-chan. You really can't trust anything on the internet. I'm sorry for saying all those things about you, Sora-chan. It's alright. Sensei says she's done so many things in her life that can't be forgiven, so she doesn't care what other people think about her, only what we think about her. Did she tell you everything? Sensei found me by herself and went over all the questions everyone had asked before, but that she had never answered even once. About her past, about what she's doing now, what kind of person she is. She would get really quiet after she spoke, then she'd rub her nose, fix her hair, and walk around the room. I feel like there was so much more Sensei wanted to tell me, and what she did say was only a few sentences. I've never seen her so nervous before. I think she was worried I'd hate her for her past. Sora was silent for a moment as she tried to piece together an objective, genuine retelling from a vast sea of memories. She tried to convince her friends to like her sensei, weighing each word carefully, just as her sensei had with the children that had been with her for years. Perhaps I'm not grown enough yet, but I don't understand why things happen the way Sensei has said. But I know that, other than ourselves, Sensei must be the person that loves us the most in the world. So I want to be like my teacher, become independent, and find my own path while helping others. Sounds like our special assistant's action statement. Thanks to you, everything has gone more smoothly than ever. Really? I'll do my best to keep going. Haha, we'll be cheering you on too. So we'll be meeting your sensei? She runs the place we'll be staying at after all. As much as I love that, Sensei left Nagazora after Ciara's home was finished, telling us she still had more work to do as part of her bail. Did she say when she was coming back? About that, Sora ran forward a few steps, turned around, and smiled. That's a secret between Sensei and me. Walk this way, and watch out for any debris around here. Thanks for reminding me, I almost tripped. But you really know your way around. This path isn't on any map, but you're still taking us right to where we need to go. When I first came to Nagazora, I watched my every step. I was worried there would be someone out there to get me around every corner. Thank Great Serpent for helping me updating Mark II. Otherwise, I wouldn't be willing to travel Nagazora by myself. By yourself? Sora-chan, you don't mean... Yep, I'm not always at Sierra's home. The last time I returned was 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks? Things weren't going so well in Nagazora, and as one of the older children, I had to take on some responsibility. Don't worry, Miss Sila, I can take care of myself. Even still, Anyway, let's pick up the pace, otherwise we won't make it to Sierra's home in time. We have to solve this quickly.